We're going to take a look at some of the notable winter transfers, both in and out. I was tasked with choosing the winners and the losers of the Mercato between players and teams. You can see Lorenzo Luca there scoring on his first game for Nottingham Forest. It's already worked out pretty well for him. So here are my winners podium. I have Fiorentina in first because I think they did their business. Roma in second because at least they got Malen. And then third, I put Raspadori because he Lookman left and he walked straight into a lineup where he was coming in off the bench for Atletico Madrid. What's
that was a swap deal then, basically, yeah, Raspadori? Huh?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
What do you think?
I agree with you. I would have to agree with you in the grand scheme of things. I think Fiorentina have recruited well. And like you said, Marco, you were very big on it about a director of football coming in. They got a director of football coming in, bought some players, and it's also in relation to where they are. They're in a relegation fight right now. They're trying to stay in Serie A. So I think that they recruited well. I think Roma, for me, I do like it. I like Malen. Saw a lot of him at Aston Villa and what he did at Aston Villa and what he brings to this Roma side. Scoring goals is their biggest problem for me. I think everything else I'm happy with. Defensively, they're hard to beat. They're very stingy defense. They've got great determination. If they've got someone they can really rely on, a real true striker, or someone that can make a difference up at the top end of the pitch, I think Marlon will be that for Roma, and I think that's a great bit of business for them. And obviously, Atalanta with Raspadori coming back in.
Grella? Did I miss anything?
Raspadori was not cheap either. It's interesting you put Roma because I agree with you. But probably Gasperini doesn't agree with you with what he came out and said. He came out and said basically there's teams that want to make top four, and then there's teams that have the transfer window we had. I think they get into that second place because of Malen. He's a massive upgrade. Even when he's not scoring, he looks really good on the ball. He looks like he can flow. He can connect things. He makes it stick up top. Fiorentina have done sort of their old playbook, right? They've signed mostly Italian players, mostly players with experience in the league. Not so sure if it'll pan out or not. They've got a lot of moving pieces. Harrison, Solomon are two good additions, I think, given the lack of wingers in Italy. I think Genoa was another interesting one. If I'm not mistaken, did they add Ostigard at this window, or was that in the summer window?
I thought it was in the summer.
It was in the summer window. Okay, so then Genoa was not in the conversation. But this is I have to agree with most of what you're saying here. Raspadori, we'll see what he can bring Atalanta in that position just behind the striker. I think he fits almost perfectly.
Absolutely, yeah. No, Roma was a weird one because I liked Malen, but then the other transfers he wasn't as high on. Let's talk about some of the losers, and I'll show you my podium, and you guys can tell me if you agree or not. Lazio first. They lost their best midfielder, Guendouzi. They lost their best attacking player, Tati Castellanos. And they nearly, if it went through, Romagnoli would have been gone. Bologna in second because they've had defensive issues. They also lost too many players home in the back. And then Fratesi because the guy can't get out of Inter.
Yeah, I agree. I think for Bologna, Holm is a player that I really like. I think for the way Juventus want to play, he's really important for them. He's a good defender, but he's also fantastic on the ball. Lazio, it goes without saying, if we could put them on if we could put them on the back of that mountain in the back there, where the N is in the transfer market, that's where Lazio would be because they have just done everything to not help themselves out and shoot themselves in the foot. And I think it's got to be so frustrating for a guy like Sadi. Amazingly enough, he still has that group pretty tight together that really fight for things. Still a difficult team to beat. And then Fratesi, this guy makes every Italian national team fan want to cry. Because I think he's of that level, but he needs games. He needs to go out and play somewhere at a high, and I think he can do it at a high level. At Inter, he's just a waste of talent.
I think that's the biggest one for me. Fratesi not getting out to get games and really start to show people what he can do. I don't disagree with you, Marco. I think that's great. I think for me, Lazio is definitely the biggest loser. That club there, just for me, I have no idea where they're trying to go, what direction they're trying to do. Two top players that they've lost and no real replacement. Nowhere the same standard of the players that they've lost, and you just have no idea what their aim is. What is the goal at Lazio right now?
Bologna's in a free fall too. Yeah. We haven't had a lot of time to talk about it. They lost Immobile this window. They also lost Fabian. Those were the other two. But physically, they don't look the same. I don't know if it's a reality of the fact that they went to Saudi Arabia. Then they have the Europa League. They're trying to contend in multiple competitions, and they're not used to that. But how do you put your finger on it?
Yeah, it's hard to put your finger on it. But those two are playing each other Coppa Italia this coming week, so that's going to be an interesting one. They're both on a little bit of a slide, and it tells you, where they are on this podium in the transfer market of kind of where their situations stand halfway through the season.
I think with Bologna, their squad was always questionable. When they got into Europe and, winning the Coppa Italia, they did great. But for me, I always said straight away, right, okay, you're going to be in Europe now. Are you going to have to reinvest and get a few more players in, have a bigger squad to work with?
You did say it.
And I did say it. And for me, I think that's what's come to bite them in the butt now.
Yeah, and there's some more notable transfer stories that will pop up here just because we couldn't get to everything and putting them on the list. Mateta didn't go through, failed his medical. Noah Lang came out and said that his relationship with Antonio Conte was not the best. And then Lorenzo Luca, he played 16 games in Serie A. He had 1 goal. He played 1 game in your Premier League and he's already got a goal, Nigel.
Let's let the fans know, because in Nottingham Forest, they actually crossed the ball. When he was playing at Napoli, they didn't really cross the ball that much. I mean, you have a good 6'7" or whatever he is, striker, cross the ball, put it in there, and he can actually get some headed goals. Hey, Nottingham Forest are playing to his strength. Good start for him.
He was not good at Napoli. He was not good at all. He looked lost. It looked like the shirt was a little heavy for him. The expectation was too high. I think he had the pressure also of Højlund coming. Lukaku was going to come back. He needed to do something, and he was a disaster there at Napoli for sure. Do I think he has quality? I think so. I think he'll be useful for a team. There's not many number 9s out there. And then Lang also just didn't fit. No. Not a great player, but I mean, he's not a bad player, but he just didn't fit what Napoli want to do when you have to play on both sides of the football.